Welcome to Simple Scotch Reviews. Here we have Glengoyne 15. It's a 15-year-old single malt Scotch whiskey bottled at 43% ABV. It's from the Highland region. Let's take a look at this one. Okay, fruit is apparent on the nose. I do get some of that dark fruit, but orchard fruits are the main fruit I'm getting in this whiskey. I get a red apple note is the main fruit. There's also a thick caramel that kind of is the underneath layer below the fruit. Normally with those kinds of flavors, I'll get a baking spice note like a cinnamon or a allspice, but in this whiskey, I don't really get any kind of baking spice note in the nose. Just the orchard fruit and then the thick caramel below it, kind of making up that base layer beneath it, and then there is some of that dark fruit, but it's subtle. Okay, so overall, the palate is really a similar theme to the nose, but a citrus note popped in there at the initial part of the palate that really surprised me. I've had this whiskey before and I don't really remember getting that citrus note, but it quickly fades and doesn't show up again. The main themes of the nose continue, but they do morph a bit. The caramel from the nose is definitely present on the palate, but on the palate, to me, it shows up as more of a burnt caramel. There's some of those burnt notes along with the caramel. The apple that I get is not the same apple flavor. It's not just a ripe red apple, it's a baked apple. But again, like the nose, no baking spice with the apple. The dark fruits, let's try again. That might be in there. Yeah, those dark fruits are certainly beneath the other flavors, not as obvious. On the palate, that baked apple and burnt caramel kind of dominate, aside from that initial citrus hint that goes away quickly. The finish is lingering with apple and a little bit of sweetness with the apple. No baking spice shows up in the finish. I keep thinking there's going to be baking spice with those apple flavors like I usually get, but not in this one. Also worthy of note is the mouthfeel. It's got a more viscous mouthfeel than some other whiskeys and more than what I expected before ever trying this whiskey. Overall, it's a solid whiskey. It's really good. I would say I expected more dark fruit flavor and being able to pick those out, but what there is of the dark fruit is kind of hidden beneath the orchard fruit and the caramel here. It's still very pleasant. I would recommend getting it, but I think my recommendation bumps up a little bit more because of the discontinuation. So Glengoyne discontinued their 15-year-old. I'm not sure if it's a temporary discontinued. I don't think they've said it's temporary, so we can assume it's going to be forever unless they bring one back at some point. But I don't think there's necessarily a certain plan for that that's been made available to the public. So because it's discontinued, I think that if you see it at stores near you, you should definitely pick up a bottle, because it's one that who knows when we'll get it again. If the 15-year comes back later, it'll probably be different. They might go a different route in what they want their 15-year to look like if it shows up again. So I would certainly make sure you get yourself a bottle if you see it near you at retail price. I know a lot of people have been buying it up everywhere they see it because it's discontinued, but there's also some areas still that can get it pretty readily. That's going to change in the near future once it's completely discontinued. I think this whiskey can be approachable for a beginner, wouldn't worry about scaring people off, and it's a good whiskey. It's not like exceptional, you need to try it. I think any good whiskey everyone should probably try, but I think the discontinued note of this whiskey makes it bumped up everyone's wish list. You should definitely try it because you might not have an opportunity later, especially if you live in an area like I do where online ordering is not allowed. It's going to be really hard to find it at a later date. So pick one up if they have them near you and enjoy. Check out my channel for some other whiskey reviews. There's quite a few up there now, and they'll continue as I go through whiskey. Scotch. There are other reviews coming of American whiskey. There aren't any up there right now, but there's also Irish whiskey. So take a look at the channel, subscribe if you want the notifications or them to show up for you when you have them available. Either way, thanks for watching.